Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And spring training 2031 is just getting underway. We've got high expectations for our Rockies this year, even though it wasn't a particularly eventful offseason as far as signing free agents based on our budget. But we did win 103 games a year ago and make it all the way to Game 7 in the World Series. A couple of key additions that we expect to be on the roster this year. The young outfielder Kevin Roberts Jr., we picked him 5th overall in 2026. He's the number 9 prospect in baseball, and he was fantastic as a late season call-up last year. Looking forward to seeing what he can do in the lineup every day this year. And then also looking forward to the return of Ezequiel Tovar. Had 4 consecutive outstanding years for us from 2026 to 2029 before getting injured in September of 2029 with a torn labrum, having a setback with that injury and missing all of last year. Still looks like pretty close to the guy that he's been, so we're hoping he becomes a 5+ WAR player again and a guy who can win a Silver Slugger or a Gold Glove at shortstop, particularly because we did give him a 5-year extension at $23.2 million a year this past off season. So hoping that he will be as productive as ever and healthy and back in the lineup for this year. We're also given a shot in spring training to the number 37 prospect in baseball, the 20-year-old Leo Martinez. Like Kevin Roberts Jr., we signed him to a long extension last year. Martinez had, unfortunately, a poor result in the development lab on his pitch control this offseason that we just found about earlier today, but still looks like he is ready for the majors. It's hard to imagine how good he might have looked if he had had a good result there. He's a guy who was a scouting discovery of ours back in 2027 and has just, as you can see, developed from a guy who we thought maybe would be competing for a major league roster spot to someone whose ceiling just keeps getting higher and higher. So real excited to see what he can do in spring training this year. And we are going to, as we always do, go with a 6-man rotation. And Leo Martinez is going to get a shot to try to impress us. One thing that we haven't consistently had through this playthrough is a true top of the rotation ace. Jesus Luzardo has been very good for us since we signed him as a free agent in 2026 following our second off season. He's won double-digit games every year, combined 58 and 26 record with a 118 ERA plus and a 93 FIP minus, with an average of just about 3 WAR season for the 4 years he's been with the Rockies, and he has won 17 games each of the last couple seasons, so he has performed as an ace for us, but it looks like his stuff is finally taking a step backward this past off season. Going to be making $12 million this year. We've got a team option for $12 million for him next year, so it does not have to be a long-term commitment. Would love to get another 17 wins out of him, but if that doesn't happen, then perhaps Isaiah Shader, who came up through our organization after being a 6th-round pick in 2025, unfortunately got hurt in his final start of last season and missed all of the playoffs. He could potentially become our number 1, and as I noted, think that there's a chance that Leo Martinez could do that in the not-too-distant future as well. Taking a look at player development and the shorter programs that we're now going to focus on, very defense-oriented. The first baseman, Ryan Stone, the pitcher, Justin Gibson, the third baseman, Derby Mahez, and the shortstop, Jay Stambach. Mahez and Stambach were high draft picks of us a year ago, are all going to be working on their infield defense. Former first-round pick Trent Clausen, outfielder Christian Arguelles, and left fielder Ted Miller, all going to be working on their outfielder defense. And Kevin Roberts Jr. going to work on his base stealing technique. Looks really good defensively, and he's not bad in terms of his speed, but we are trying to turn him into a true five-tool player, which he doesn't look that far off from becoming, and hopefully he'll be successful in that base stealing program over the next month or so. And outside of that, one last housekeeping item. We did get a boost to our budget. It didn't come during the off season. It came at the start of the preseason. Ownership gave us another $16 million, moving us from 204 to 220 for this upcoming season. Still not a great budget, tied at 22nd in baseball. And since most of the top free agents were gone, we've invested heavily in scouting and player development for this season, and we certainly will have some money available to take on someone in a trade, or perhaps go after a bigger ticket item than we've budgeted for as far as our slots in the draft. So nice to have a little more optionality financially than we typically have through the course of this playthrough. That said, fan loyalty is still pathetic, so although we've made a number of moves this offseason that have boosted our fan interest, and the strong result last year, particularly over the second half of the season, helped us with that as well. I think it's going to be a constant struggle from the attendance and the budgetary perspective until the fans decide that the 5 consecutive playoff appearances we have here with the Rockies are not an anomaly, and we actually hopefully have some degree of knowing what we're doing, and we'll be delivering them a consistent winner going forward. And speaking of the 2 guys that we thought could become our aces down the line, unfortunately Isaiah Shader, not the best as far as our latest scouting report on him. His stuff and velocity and overall potential rating both dropping. But Leo Martinez continues to improve, as we saw his stuff and his control are up to 50, and his potential rating has also improved as well. So real optimistic that perhaps he can make the jump from having pitched only 3 games above the high A level to the major leagues. And we'll see how he does at the end of spring training, and whether he's made a compelling case to stick around at the age of 20. Although, to be fair, Martinez's birthday is less than a week from now, so he would be 21 if he makes the roster. So very impressive still, but not quite as impressive. And in an extremely disappointing piece of news, elbow strain for Leo Martinez. He's going to be out for 6 weeks. So his dream of making the major league roster out of spring training probably done already, through just 17 pitches in his one and only appearance in the spring before that elbow strain ended the spring for him. Hopefully it won't become anything more significant going forward, given the high hopes that we have for Leo. And I mentioned in the last episode, when we spent a lot of time talking about the international amateur free agent pool, that I had made offers with the remaining $950,000 that we had to a few guys who were looking for much more money than that, hoping that they'd keep us in mind if the market for them did not develop as significantly as hoped. And we have heard from one of them, still looking for $1.9 million supposedly, which we're not going to be able to touch. But Melvin Reyes is a pretty interesting relief prospect. High work ethic and baseball IQ. Think he can get to 100 miles an hour with his velocity. Just a fastball and curve combination, but he's durable. I still think that the 950 is probably not going to be enough to get this done. It's going to be the same offer that we gave him before, because that's all we have. But clearly the market for him isn't materializing as strongly as he had hoped. Yeah, he's expecting us to make a bigger offer. although I said meet demand, and it's still just the 950,000. He says it's acceptable. I did think that was hoping to wait another month or two and pick at some of the guys who were left with that money that we had left over, but I think that Reyes is such a high-end prospect. You saw that our scout thinks he's got 60 potential, that to bring a guy like that on board on top of the first two players we brought, the starting pitcher Lopez and the shortstop Von Gorkum, would be a very interesting class if we're able to get him on board. It says that 950,000 is still the best, and I'm assuming only offer that he's received at this point. Taking a look more broadly at the pool, you can see Reyes by far is the highest ceiling pitcher that's still available. And as far as the batters, there's 4 left as well, including a couple in Sabara and Rodriguez who are looking for more money than we have. If we can bring Reyes on board to join the rest of our class, still think it will ultimately be a pretty good result for us. Just to remind people, Hendrik Jan van Gorkum, the tall tactician, the young shortstop, spent $4 million to bring him on board right at the start of the period. He was our primary target, and we were glad to get him on board. And then later, as things continued to move along, I'd like to find him here. Obviously, I could just go to our farm system page. There we go. We also signed the starting pitching prospect Hugo Lopez for $750,000. So that's why we had the $950,000 left. And at this point, we'll see now what happens with Reyes. Figured he's the highest end prospect out there, durable, some positive personality traits. We can get him locked up. I think it makes sense. And some good news over the past week as spring training continues. We did get Melvin Reyes signed, so I think he's a pretty high-end right-handed relief prospect to bring on board. With that type of stamina, he is a guy who maybe we could add another pitch and turn him into a 5-inning starter. But at the very least, if he comes close to reaching his potential with that type of stamina and durability, could maybe be a stopper for the future of us, for us, doing a high volume out of the bullpen. Like the high work ethic and baseball IQ. Really like the 3-person class that we ended up out of the IAFA pool this year. And separately from that, the other good news is that we've got some good starts to our shorter programs with the development lab. The young infielder Jay Stombach excelling with his infield defense. Kevin Roberts on track with his base stealing. Ted Miller on track with his outfield defense. Jervy Mahez excelling with his infield defense. And Trent Clausen excelling with his outfield defense. Justin Gibson, Christian Arguelles, and Ryan Stone all frustrated with their programs. But when all was said and done, looks like we could get some pretty good results here. Doesn't seem like anyone is going to be a total disaster. And we've got the potential realistically for 3 excelling programs. And if Ryan Stone just gets a little bit better, 3 programs where people are at least going to end up on track. So obviously a lot will happen over the next 2+ weeks till we get to the end of spring training, but cautiously optimistic that we could make some progress largely defensively in this trip through the development lab. And if you're wondering how the spring has been going on the field at about the midway point of spring training, 8-6-1 record, half a game behind the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers in the division. Kevin Roberts Jr. definitely looking like he could be all that. Third in the league with a .370 batting average. Second with a 1.248 OPS. Justin Gibson, the young reliever who had an outstanding year for us a year ago, leading the league with 3 saves, even though he's not technically in our closer role. And unfortunately, after losing the guy that we hope is our future ace in Leo Martinez a few weeks ago, We've now lost our current ace, Jesus Luzardo, with an elbow sprain. He's going to be out for 6 weeks, so unfortunately he's going to miss the start of the season as well. So our starting rotation definitely getting a bit dicier with these injuries. Fortunately, they're not huge injuries, but anytime you're talking about an elbow with a pitcher, it is certainly not optimal. And we've made it to the end of spring training, finished with a 14-11-3 record. Kevin Roberts Jr. did finish third in the National League in OPS during the spring. Justin Gibson didn't get any more saves, so he finished tied for second in saves. Most importantly, no new injuries to worry about. We've got enough going on with Martinez out for another couple weeks and Luzardo out for about a month. But everyone else who's on the spring training roster right now is healthy as we get ready to cut from 57 down to 26. A couple of other injuries that I'll just mention because two names are familiar. You may remember Matthew Priest picked him up in a trade the offseason before last with the Mets. He is out with a high ankle sprain for 3 weeks. Had solid years for us in high A ball and double A. He is a 25-year-old who right now doesn't look ready for the majors. Tend to think that as much as we like his defense and his speed, the bat really isn't going to develop into a major league bat, but certainly going to continue to give him the opportunity to play every day in the minors once he's healthy to find out. And a guy that we used a second-round pick on in 2028 who hasn't been listed as one of our top prospects, but was obviously a significant investment of ours. James Embry picked him out of St. Peter's. Torn labrum ended his season last year. Did go 5-3 with a 2.86 ERA in Double A before we promoted him to Triple A, where he was 4-1 with a 2.45 ERA. So a really nice year for him last season. Some good personality traits, good stamina, very good at holding on runners. Looks like kind of a fifth starter type, maybe a fourth starter if he fully develops. Still going to be 3 months away from recovering from that torn labrum. So hopefully we'll see him come July, maybe August, depending on how the recovery goes. But would think that he'll start in AAA for us, hopefully be in the mix to potentially be a September call-up for us. I don't think he's going to be an ace, but has a profile that he could be a useful major league pitcher for us down the line. And we've made the difficult decisions to cut our major league roster down to 26 players. The pitching is where we have multiple surprises, perhaps, although there's one big surprise we'll talk about as far as the position players. But with our current ace, Jesus Luzardo, out 4 weeks with a sprained elbow, and our hopeful future ace, Leo Martinez, out for a couple weeks with a elbow strain, that opened up opportunities not just in the rotation, but to make the team, period. So the 13 pitchers we're going to be heading north with, as far as the starters, Isaiah Shader will take over as our number one starter for the time being. Braden Nett, after leading the National League with 18 wins ago, will be our number two. Andrew Painter, after poor first season in Colorado and a poor performance in the playoffs last year, did go 3-1 in spring training, and he will be our number three starter. Newly acquired Kumar Rocker, who's a rental from Boston for this year, will be our fourth starter. And Joe Rock, who spent a good chunk of last year as our number five starter when we had some injuries, will be back in that role again this year. Wellington Herrera back as our closer. Luke Little, Gregory Santos, and Justin Gibson will work as setup men. Gibson will also be a stopper if and when our manager thinks that's an appropriate role. Middle relievers, Bobby Miller and Drew Summers will be back. Two new additions to the team. Cole Klecker, who was up the last couple of Septembers, going to get a chance for the time being to be a long reliever. And then Ryan Featherston, 8th-round pick from 2026. Spent parts of the last 2 seasons with AAA Albuquerque. Hasn't been particularly impressive, but we're going to give him an opportunity to see what he can do at the major league level. Certainly, if and when Luzardo and Martinez are ready to come back, Featherston and Klecker are the most likely guys to move back down to AAA, and certainly could see us being perhaps one big-time reliever away from bullpen that we're really, really comfortable with, rather than one that we think is good but not necessarily great. So we will continue to look at the trade market to see if there's any options to potentially improve our middle and long relief in the coming weeks and months. Feel real good about our closer and our 3 setup men, but acknowledge that the rest of the bullpen is not as strong as it could be. But to be fair, if we add another starter or 2 into the rotation, and we've got guys like Rock and then potentially either Painter or Rocker moving into the bullpen, that would in and of itself likely make the bullpen stronger. Turning to the 13 position players that are going to be going north with us, the final 3 cuts. One was Jonathan Pera, who was our Rule 5 acquisition this past off season. Just didn't think he was good enough to make the team, so we sent him back to the Cincinnati Reds. Second to last cut was Brendan Tunink, our Rule 5 acquisition from a year ago, who spent all of last year with us at the major league level. Didn't see an obvious role for him given how strong our outfield is, and going to get him regular playing time down in AAA. And then the final cut is the one that surprised me a little bit when we got there, but Cole Carrig, a very popular player who's making over $4 million this year. He's been a important utility player for us the past few years. But you can see by the green highlights on all of our players here that everyone is starting at least one time against left-handed or right-handed pitching. And when we looked at the roster and our options, Carrig was kind of the odd man out. Would certainly think that if we have an injury, regardless of whether it's in the outfield or the infield, that he'll probably be the next man up. But for now, he's going to get a little extra time in AAA, which is a bit surprising, but the roster is what the roster is. So looking at who made it, Drew Romo going to be our catcher against right-handed pitching. The new addition, Juan Flores, we're actually going to start off the year platooning him and letting him start against left-handed pitching at catcher. He's better against lefties than righties, and Romo is better offensively against righties than lefties. So with Romo needing some time off, the hope is that the occasional day off against lefties will ensure that he maximizes his at-bats against right-handed pitching, and Flores maximizes his at-bats against left-handed pitching. Flores, as we talked about as we picked him up, is a very competent defensive catcher, not quite at a Drew Romo level, but still very good. At first base, platoon between Charlie Condon against lefties and Ryan Stone against righties. Marcelo Meyer will play second base for us against right-handed pitching, and he'll play third base for us against left-handed pitching. Joey Ortiz will be our second baseman against lefties. Adail Amador will play third for us against right-handed pitching, and for the time being, he's going to be our DH and leadoff hitter against lefties. And Ezekiel Tovar, back from missing all of last year with that torn labrum, will be our everyday shortstop. One of the guys who perhaps a bit surprisingly made the team over the likes of Tunink and Carrig, the young left fielder Christian Arguelles, hit .257 in 70 at-bats for us at the end of last year. And Arguelles is going to get the opportunity to be our everyday left fielder against right-handed pitching. Gus Nieves will be our DH against righties, and he will play right field against lefties. Dean West, once again back as our center fielder. He'll lead off for us against right-handed pitching. Trent Clausen makes the team out of spring training after hitting .333 and 36 major league at-bats last year. And Clausen will be our left fielder against left-handed pitching. And then the guy that we hope is the future of the franchise, Kevin Roberts Jr., will be our right fielder against right-handed pitching, and he will play center field for us against left-handed pitching for the time being. And with 3 days left until the development lab is done and 3 days left until opening day, check in on our progress. Still 3 frustrated people, but it looks like potentially we could have 5 successful programs. Kevin Roberts Jr., Jay Stombaugh, and Trent Clausen are all excelling with their programs, while Ryan Stone and Dervy Mahez are on track to hopefully make some progress as well. So we'll find out 3 days from now whether we get 5 successful programs, including 3 very high-level excelling programs. Honestly, it's not inconceivable that Mahez may be excelling by then if he really excels over the next few days. And we'll also check in on the preseason predictions for this team that we have definitely tried to set up to be a win-now squad. And we've simmed ahead to opening day over in the American League, expected to be 290 win teams. The Rangers expected to be the best team in the AL at 97 and 65. The Tigers expected to win 91 games as well. The veteran Aaron Judge expected to continue on his path to the Hall of Fame. Boy, if Aaron Judge at the age of 38 in 2031 is putting up a 55 homer, 131 run batted in season as a Yankees fan, that is certainly something I would sign up for quickly right now, looking at what the veteran has done over the course of his career. 554 homers, over 1,300 ribbies with a .285 average. And if he has the year that he had in this simulation, Judge will be over 600 home runs before the end of 2031. Looks like a great year out of the bullpen in Detroit for Jogly Garcia. Expected to have 51 saves and a minuscule 157 earned run average. But we are more concerned about what's going to possibly happen in the National League this year. And 290 win teams projected. The Nationals with 91 wins projected to win the NL East. And our Rockies projected to go 92 and 70. And have the best record in the National League once again and win a third National League West title. Looking at the potential leaderboards, Gus Nieves, our outfielder slash DH, expected to have a monster year with 47 homers and 125 ribbies. Assume those are both league-leading numbers, which, if it was the case, would mean he'd have led the league in homers and ribbies 3 times in 4 major league seasons. None of our pitchers expected to have monster years on the mound. Looks like one of the best is expected, of course, to be Yamamoto from the Dodgers, expected to go 17 and 5 with a 2.42 ERA and 266 strikeouts. But after a 103 win season, 92 doesn't sound incredible. But if we end up winning the NL West and we end up having the best record in the National League and the second best record in baseball, as we sit here on opening day 2031, I think I would definitely take that. But after making it all the way to Game 7 of the World Series last year and losing, our owner has slightly higher expectations. He wants us to win it all this year. And just a reminder, we are in the final year of our contract. So a little bit of pressure on us. The contract is done as of this upcoming off season. Hopefully we will do well enough to earn an extension, and would be great if we actually do go on and win that World Series. Looks like we kind of got our wish. 5 successful programs out of 8, and 4 of the 5 with an outstanding result. We'll talk about the 3 that didn't work out as well. Ted Miller, who did well in the development lab this offseason as far as his offense. Unfortunately, didn't improve his outfield defense. He's not a great defensive player, so that would have been a nice step forward. He's going to be starting the year in Double-A simply because he was so bad there in a brief stint last season. But looking at his ratings, he is likely to be knocking on the door of the major leagues very soon. So certainly would have helped his case to be better defensively. Justin Gibson, our outstanding young reliever, we worked on his defense because he's not all that great. Everything else, we think he is really good and on his way to potentially being exceptional. So we're trying to tighten up his defense a little bit, and that didn't work. And the guy who kind of made the roster is maybe our 26th man, Christian Arguelles, and I say the 26th man, but he is going to be playing against right-handed pitching, so he's going to be getting more time than others. Tried to work on his outfield defense as well. He's still certainly solid there, and he is going to be, as we mentioned, a platoon guy for us. Looking at his ratings, think he can handle things decently against right-handed pitching, not particularly effective against left-handed pitching. He would be a guy, if he struggles, that the likes of Carrig and Tunick could certainly be looking to take a spot from him. Ryan Stone, who's in that first base platoon with us, is more of a natural outfielder, but because we've got so much depth in the outfield right now, we put him on an infield defense program, and that was successful. His arm, his range, his error all improved a little bit. His turn double play rating improved by 5. Not critically important for him as a first baseman, but you can see he's still not particularly adept as an infielder, but he can give us a competent defensive third base, helped by his 6'3" size. And then we had, as I said, 4 outstanding programs, so really interested in seeing what these guys look on the other end of these defensive programs that went well. Pretty good results overall, with 5 of 8 of these programs being successful or outstanding. Trent Clausen, who we talked about, made the team, going to be playing against left-handed pitching, proved his arm, his range, and his error rating, each all by 5 with that outstanding result. So Clausen looking even more adept in the outfield for us. An outstanding result also from the young third baseman who we drafted in the first round last year, Derby Mahez. He's going to be starting the year in Single A, but we would expect to promote him up to A, High A, and then probably Triple A in relatively short order. Improved his arm, his error ratings a bit, and his range and his turn 2 ratings both went up by 5. So that's a pretty significant improvement. The range is huge. He's always had a gun at third. Definitely looking like he could be a outstanding defensive third baseman for us. Got really good speed, got a great personality. If that bat continues to come along, the hope is that Derby Mahez could be a very important player for us in the not-too-distant future. Kevin Roberts Jr., the franchise, his stealing and his stealing aggressiveness both improved by 5, so not a lot that he needs to work on. Still see a lot of untapped potential with his bat, which hopefully playing every day at the major league level will help with. His defense improved significantly last year, and worked on his stealing this year, and he certainly looks like a potential monster 5-tool player. He's now up to being considered the number 5 prospect in baseball. We took him 5th overall back in 2026, and he has been everything we could have hoped in terms of his development. And last but not least, another infielder that we drafted last year with an outstanding result, Jay Stambaugh. arm, range, error, and turn double play rating all improved by 5. So that's going to give him a lot more optionality as well. Honestly, with that range and arm combination, third base is probably his most natural position, but certainly we'll be training him up at second base down the line, and think he can give us decent defense anywhere in the infield. He'll also be starting similar to Mahez in Class A California League, even though he was pretty successful there that year, or last year, at the end of last year. Doesn't look like he's quite ready for high A ball, but similar to Mr. Mahez, would expect that they both get promoted to high A within the next month or two, and would expect that those guys finish the year in AAA, and if things go really well, those college players that we drafted a year ago could even be in AAA before we get to the end of this season. So pretty good results in the development lab. Definitely not feeling great about our number one starter and our hopeful number one starter of the future, both being on the IL as the season gets underway. But perhaps that means that we're a bit underestimated with the 92 wins that we're projected to get. And when we get hopefully both of those guys up onto the major league team in the coming weeks and months, maybe we will be even tougher on our opponents than people are expecting us to be right now. Big year for the Rockies. We're expected to win it all by our ownership. I'm in the final year of my contract, and we're trying to make the playoffs for a 6th straight year before potentially having to turn over some important players on our roster next offseason, which seems to be a constant theme for the Rockies. But right now, the goal is to position this team to win a championship. We do have money to bring on some help if we need it. Hopefully these injuries don't end up lingering any longer than we anticipate. And we'll have a big decision to make whether we want to promote Mr. Martinez, who's only pitched 3 games above high A ball, right to the majors. Since he's missed over a month at this point, certainly going to have him start on a rehab assignment, which actually will help a little bit if he's pretty effective in 2 or 3 starts in AAA. That'll give him a little more seasoning and also let him make the case to jump all the way to the major leagues, and then hopefully about the time Martinez is rehabbed and ready to go, Jesus Luzardo won't be too far behind in terms of potentially beginning a rehab assignment. So looking forward to getting this season underway, and we will do that in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.